But the senator, while indoctrinated, could not explain his toxicity.
You should not listen to men's rights advocates if you want to know what they have to say.
Greetings, fragile yet toxic males and self-hating and stupid females, and welcome to HBR News number 137, the end of VidMe, or vid.me, whatever, with the polecats, those critters who ferret out the best feels, funnies, and what the fucks to discuss Slam Bam Badger style. Mind your spines for the cringe, hold on to your sides for the lulls, and keep your chemo at the ready for this cancer. Today's polecat panel consists of Max Darrett, Simpsons kin, and definitely not Lala. The Teletubby. For those of you guys who know who that is, I feel for you. Our polecat punster and pussycat punisher Hannah, Dr. Ranarakam, Evil Panda, Puppet Master, and Rabid Long Range Rhetorician, who is coming to us live from the Badger Cave today and not from the UK. This might mean he's going to sound different, but that's why. And me, the Supreme Doge in charge, who has reached the end of his journey through the self-poisoning process, only to get dragged back down by doing this show. So, today we'll be discussing the following topics. I do not have the normally clever, sort of short versions of things that I usually have, so I'm just going to tell you guys what we're talking about in a more straightforward way, and this is probably going to be really, really bad. We're going to be talking about the death of vid.me and how it happened and what can be done. What are your thoughts? What are our thoughts? The usual. We're also going to be talking about an article where Obama makes a statement. We need to elect more women because men seem to be having problems. So we're going to see what Mr. Obama has to say about why we need to protect the women's despite the fact that men are doing badly. And then lastly, Kotaku, who is always good for some lulls, has written an article about it's entitled "It Might Be Time to Rethink Difficulty Menus," because games are hard and they shouldn't be. And we also have our bonus content for the after show. I'm going to be looking at a couple of different things. But my favorite so far, it comes from the College Fix, which is entitled "Campus Paper Fires White Death Columnist Amid Calls for Publication to be Defunded." So if you want to be a part of these after shows, please consider becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. And you'll be able to join us, and it's a lot of fun. You can either join us by watching the show in the same way that you are doing now, or you can even be in the shows yourself and essentially go through all of this cringe with us and discuss the topics. And also, if you don't want to wake up one morning and find yourself unable to find our content because the YouTube has finally dropped the guillotine on our channel, go to badgerfeed.com. That's badgerfeed.com. You see it at the top of the screen there. We're going to be moving to a digest format. Well, I think we've already moved to the digest format, have we not? So if you're listening to this in audio and you still want to follow the uncut live streams, you will also be able to find those at badgerfeed.com. Just go to badgerfeed.com. Another thing is, for those of you guys who are watching us on the main channel, Honey Badger Radio, you can also watch this and also look at the live full-length versions of these shows on Badger Streams. So if you aren't subscribed to Badger Streams, which is another YouTube channel, subscribe to Badger Streams, because that's where all the live stuff stays up, the full-length versions. That also includes some of the Rantzerkers and the HBR talks, as well as the I want to say sometimes we do like the fundraiser streams, and those will stay up there too if you want to watch us, shoot the shit for 6 hours. or however long those fundraisers go. But those can be fun because we always have people on. Like the last one we did, we got Sargon of Akkad, and he hung out with us for about 2.5 hours, and we talked about Islam. If you haven't seen it, you should go check it out because it's a good one.
He told us he wouldn't even rape us.
I know, and I was disappointed.
I know. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, well, I guess he just doesn't desire us enough.
He's prejudiced against the Simpsons kin nation.
That's right.
He doesn't embrace our ideas of Simpsons kin nationalism. Okay, I've started up my own version of the alt-right. Go on, Brian.
Some other news, small news. So my surgery is a hard date for the 15th. That means that up until then, I'm going to be in and out of the hospital for various tests and visits so to make sure that I'm cleared for the surgery itself. That the 15th is next, not this coming Friday, but the following Friday, and I'll be out of commission. I don't really know how long. The sooner, I mean, I'm going to obviously try my hardest to get back in there as fast as possible, but this is just so you know, if you don't see me around as much, that's why. Another piece of news is, I mean, just as a small aside, I brought home a new friend today. We have ourselves a new dog. You guys might know that I had to put my old dog Leslie down a few months ago over the summer because she was very old and very sick. And we just today, literally just before the show started, it's actually the reason why the show is late today. I brought home a new dog. He's a German Shepherd mix. He's about 8 months old, and his name is Jojo. And so, you know, I had to get him, right? So, so yeah, he's great. So if you guys hear any clickety-clacks or barking, that's just Jojo. He's our puppy. He's going to be a pretty big guy. And, yeah, I rescued him today. So he now lives with us. That was another piece of news I thought I would share. I'll upload photos of him after, maybe on my Twitter or my Facebook. If you follow me there, you'll see what Jojo looks like. And, well, that's basically it for me. There was one thing I wanted to mention. So we were talking in the stream. This is before I get into the stories. We were talking in the stream before, and I was asking the guys in here, Max, Hannah, and Mike, if they have a lot of experience or, you know, are pretty confident in their ability to take songs and write them as parodies. And the reason was because I had thought of a couple while I was driving across country. One was, could you... I think these would be great. Okay. Take System of a Down's song. I believe it's... I gotta think about this one for a second. Which one is it? It was a really big hit. Toxicity, okay? And you change it to a Jordan Peterson theme. And so instead of shouting disorder, you say unsorted, and it's basically just Jordan Peterson singing the song in his voice. Can you guys think about that for a second? System of a Down, but Jordan Peterson. Wouldn't that be epic? I think that.
Normally, I make songs heavier than the original was, and I'd have to either make it heavier than System of a Down, or I'd have to go the other direction and make it like a swing number or a fucking ballroom piece.
Yeah,
well, that's kind of what Weird Al does when he does his polka party. He takes songs that are heavier and turns them into this lighthearted polka version of the original. So I mean, it could be done.
It could.
You ever hear alternative polka? That is the greatest piece of music that has ever been put to fucking recording. But yeah, I would have to echo what Mike said about doing a parody. If I were to do a parody of System of a Down, I would totally have to change the genre because this is my controversial moment of the show. I don't like System of a Down at all. I can't stand their music. But, you know, I think...
Burn the witch! Burn the witch!
People are flooding the comment section as we speak to tell you how you need a really high IQ to appreciate System of a Down.
Look, if you enjoy them, more power to you. Keep on. It's just I'm one of those weird people. But yeah, if anybody here is what's the word? Skilled enough to be able to do that, it would definitely be Mike. Guys, if you've never seen Mike's response videos where he does like musical responses, you got to check him out. Probably the greatest response video of all time was when Mike did a response video to this guy named Johnny Man, I think it was.
Johnny Man, that's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, and it's all like, we're not Jack Thompson. We love video games. And then Mike's like, well, that makes sense because Jack Thompson cared more about children's brains. And I just could not stop laughing. It was perfect. Look it up.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But okay, so you guys in the comments, take that song, see if you can like write some lyrics for it. I just know he's got to say unsorted instead of disorder, and I think I just would like to see what you guys come up with. The other one I thought of was I noticed that Paul Joseph Watson didn't make this up, but he kind of jumped on the bandwagon and made it into a big thing. The whole soy boy thing, and so I noticed that some people were writing songs about it, but they weren't parodying anything about this whole soy boy thing that that this sort of meme, I guess, that has come out. And I was thinking about the song because I heard it in the mall, and I'm not really a fan of it, but there's a song, I think it's called, I know it has a lyric that says, I'm a motherfucking star boy, or something like that. So change it to motherfucking soy boy, and then just, like, do all the lyrics. And I'd like to see that, too. If you guys have any ideas, just put it in there. But I've been thinking about this, like, has been bouncing around in my head a little bit. The rewriting of doing the Jordan Peterson System of a Down thing, is I think that'd be funny as fuck. And the soy boy, but it's the Starboy song, but it's parodied as a soy boy song. So yeah, somebody said Owen wrote a soy boy song. I heard Owen Benjamin's song, and it wasn't that bad. But like, I want something that's actually going to be a parody of a really existing song. It's kind of like the stuff that Rucka Rucka Ali or Chris Ray Gun have done, Something that would just live forever in the annals of internet history, marking 2017 as the year this happened. The current year was the year of the current event. So, think about that. One other thing. People in the comment section are asking us, of course, they don't care about my dog. They don't care about my cancer. They don't care about the stories today. They don't care about writing new songs. They want to know what happened at the Calgary Expo trial, or with the Calgary Expo trial. All I can tell you is we can't tell you anything, but it's not bad news. And there will be, and the reason is it's for legal reasons. We're trying to be extremely careful about this. If you follow me on Facebook or Twitter, you may have seen that I kind of jumped the gun, but just ignore that. We got to wait until the time is right, but trust me, it's going to be worth waiting for. So we'll keep you posted. That's all we can say. There's no gag order. There's no, like, nobody's holding a knife to our throats. Nothing like that. We just want to make sure that we do this correctly. So,
and it will be soon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one consolation you have. It's just keep that in mind. Soon.
Soon. So yeah. All right. Now we're ready. We're going to go ahead and get into the stories. Now, normally I give the floor to Max for the first one. That is how we've done it. That is like our, I guess you could call it a tradition. But today I'm breaking tradition, and I'm going to put Max on the last one. So I will open up with the first story, and that is... Uh-oh, dog's barking. See, he's not happy with the changes that we've made.
Yeah, he doesn't like the fact that the minority here is being put at the back of the line.
He probably also wants to know what's going on with the Calgary Expo trial. We talked about it in the car, and he was like, "Whoa." So, stop with the borks. Stop with the borking. Okay. So, the end of VidMe. After more than 3 years of operation, video hosting site vid.me is closing its doors, citing unsustainability as the chief culprit. Vid.me plans to permanently close down its servers by noon Pacific time on December the 15th. Signups and uploads have also been disabled, and existing users have until the December 15th deadline to export their existing videos before the servers are pulled. You may remember vid.me from earlier in 2017 when they famously mocked YouTube for its YouTube Heroes program and for YouTube's stance on refusing to monetize some videos with controversial content. With the loss of vid.me, the list of YouTube alternatives shrinks even further, with Dailymotion, Vimeo, and BitChute being some of those which remain. Now, I know, Max, you did a video about this of Breaking Badger, and I'm sorry I wasn't available to do any of those because I was in Canada and my internet was spotty at best. Oh my god,
it's okay. You were on a mission from God, dude,
Yeah,
along with
that's
Allison
right.
and the rest of the Badgers, so it's cool.
But with that being said, this is so people might ask, well, why is this important? It's basically because we at HBR are always trying to find new and better ways to keep getting the word out about the stuff that we are interested in and passionate about. And when a platform disappears, it gives us fewer options. Obviously, we rely on YouTube, though we don't really like it, and also Twitch is starting to look better. So guys, as a reminder, we do have 2 YouTube channels, but we also have Twitch. So if you're not on Twitch, get on Twitch, because that may be the place we have to go. But also, Twitch servers tend to be a lot more stable. So like if you're having trouble with us on YouTube, go to Twitch and check it out. I look at the Twitch stuff too. I see your little faces and whatnot. So, but yeah. So before I give the floor to you guys, that's why we're talking about it, because it's kind of a big deal with everything that's going on with Google and whatnot. So I don't know, Max, you did a video on it. What are your thoughts?
Okay, well, obviously, VidMe, the reason why it's a big deal is that VidMe was sort of made in response to YouTube's policies in respect to its content creators. Ever since YouTube started up, obviously, there were the content creators at the very beginning, people that we recognize, people like Ray William Johnson, Philip DeFranco. And as it went on, as more content creators started to get famous, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of subscribers, that left very little room for smaller channels to be able to build themselves up. And as a result, there were people out there that weren't particularly happy with the way that YouTube was handling the way they were treating their smaller channels, with how they were withholding advertising revenue. That's something that's still going on today. And what VidMe wanted to do in response to that was say, hey, if you're a small channel on YouTube and you believe that you are producing good content, we want to provide a platform where you can actually make some decent money on the content that you produce. We can provide you ads. And, the rules aren't as strict as they are on YouTube. Well, unfortunately, because VidMe has had trouble securing advertising from anybody, because all of them obviously want to advertise with YouTube because they have the bigger platform, VidMe has been unable to find financial sustainability, and they were unable to go on, which is a real shame, because for a long time, for the past year or two, YouTubers that have been struggling to make a living, especially people within our community, people who produce political content, who are unable to get their videos monetized because they're not advertiser friendly, quote unquote, yet for some reason. There are videos of kids that are being exploited by their parents on channels that have 8.5 million subscribers that are able to get fucking advertising, but that's besides the point for now. It's a real shame, because people within our community have been going towards VidMe, whether you're talking about people like Computing Forever, Mr. Medicure, if you consider him a part of our community. And now...
I think Sargon was on there.
Oh, he was? Okay.
I think so. Yeah, a lot of guys. Razor Fists was on there. And, a lot of I think Barbara was on there. Some black guy was on there, I think. Plenty of people.
Yeah, and it's a real shame. Like, we go more into depth about why this is such a big deal in the Breaking Badger segment, which you guys can watch on our channel, which just came out a couple of days ago. Shill. But yeah, besides that, it's a shame, obviously, because our options are becoming more and more limited towards YouTube, a fucking platform that isn't very respectful towards its smaller content creators. But hey, at least we still have Daily Motion. I think that'll be the next obvious retreat for people like us. And it's good because they have some pretty good softcore porn there, right?
I've noticed a lot of people talking about BitChute. A lot of people have been talking about that. Since we do a lot of live streams, though, it would seem to me that, because that was the thing about vid.me, I was actually trying, and multiple times I was reaching out to the guys at vid.me, and I was talking to Dave Cullen, and I was basically like, if vid.me had a streaming, we'd be all up on it, but they didn't have one. So it was like, we did put videos up on there, but we weren't able to fully take advantage of it, because a lot of the stuff that we do is live. We just prefer doing it that way. So vid.me didn't have something for it, which means that ultimately vid.me came down to being a platform that was too similar to YouTube, but didn't have as many features. So it was almost like a derivative, you know, diet YouTube, which is a shame because they actually did. And I mean, they even, you know, they also had like hate speech, rules or whatever, which, you know, that is always kind of hairy territory because it's always vaguely worded, and, you know, hate speech, what does that even mean? That could be, so that they weren't really doing anything, it's particularly, you know, like high, I guess you could say, they weren't really breaking new boundaries or like totally free speech sites in the same way that alternatives in the same way that, like, say, Gab or Minds is, you know, because those places were like that's like central to their whole philosophy, whereas vid.me was more just like, we just want to be the YouTube competitor. And I guess in a way that might be how they got there, but I noticed people talking about BitChute, and I also noticed people talking about a lot about Dailymotion, which has been around forever. Other places like Vimeo, I think, is still a thing. I think it's Vimeo I'm thinking about. And yeah, Vimeo.
Well, and Minds does have the capacity for video as well. You can upload video. I've uploaded video to Minds, so there's that as well.
Okay, yeah. So it's just I guess for me, it's more about which ones are going to offer streaming. So right now, that seems to be YouTube and Twitch are the biggest ones, but Restream, then there's Livestream, Facebook. All those places have the services, but unfortunately, they don't. You know, they also sort of like have a lot of the same policies. So this and this, to some extent, it's for good reason. Like, you don't want to come across, you know, kiddie porn on some video website just because, you know, it's totally like all about free speech. But you know, if you want something that's gonna like not curate their content the same way that YouTube does, that doesn't, you know, police it the same way, then I think you're going to need something that's going to be a stronger competitor than the ones that are currently available.
And I think that one of the really big problems with YouTube is they've been entirely hypocritical in the way they've policed their content. Like, the main complaints that stuff is advertised or unfriendly had to do with basically violent videos, particularly violent videos that didn't have any purpose other than using violence as a means of entertainment, and there not being, you know, a rating system for that. And then ISIS recruiting videos, and they used that as an excuse to actually police people who were more likely to be criticizing ISIS than recruiting for ISIS, and to police political viewpoints on the right, or that they perceive to be on the right. And then it comes out that for the last like 10 years, or however long YouTube's existed, really, bigger YouTubers have been telling them over and over and over again about the content that sexualizes children, and the commenters that are sexualizing content that doesn't sexualize children but includes them. And they've done nothing about this. So these complaints have been around for all this time. They've been aware of this for all of this time. And the only thing that they thought was important to censor was people arguing for due process rights and criticizing feminism.
Yeah, how dare us?
Like, it's okay for people to post kids in their underwear for sexual purposes, but it's not okay to say that you know, due process is important if you're accused of a crime. I mean, come on. So it's like, I'm fed up as far as YouTube is concerned. I'm done with it. I'm not going to take my content down because it's referenced in a lot of places, but I'm not putting anything else on YouTube. And I'm not going to promote anything that I've got on YouTube. The only thing that I'm going to do with YouTube is if I find another place that I want to use as a site for videos, I'll use YouTube to advertise my videos until I get all my subscribers from YouTube to another location, and then that's it. You know, they can't fix this at this point with me.
Yeah.
After all those years of having the pedo problem pointed out to them and doing nothing, they showed that they have the capacity to censor. They showed that they have the capacity to deal with content that is genuinely either illegal or on the border of it, and they used it for political purposes instead. That's not, I mean, that's borderline, consumer issues right there. And I just can't be associated. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, YouTube is shit.
Well, and look, there's no question in my mind either that when in a few years, YouTube is definitely gonna reap what it has sown in terms of bad karma, because they're operating at a loss already as it is.
Yeah, it's also bad business practices. Like eventually these things fall when they get too big and they start making really stupid choices.
What is it like? What did Peterson say about Too Big to Fail? YouTube, like a lot of social media, especially Twitter, it's so big that it has to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's funny because a lot of people think these entities, this like Google and YouTube and stuff, and Facebook, they feel indestructible. They feel so gigantic. They're like titans. People think, well, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. But I mean, think about other things that we had, other tech giants and giant websites that we thought will be with us forever, and or just services in the way that they that they worked. Like who still uses America Online? Or MSN Messenger, or obviously MySpace is another one, and some even came in broken. Remember, Google Plus was supposed to be the Facebook killer, and now it's just like some background thing that's more of an annoyance than anything else. Now, I'm not saying that these things are identical, but I think that this stuff happens in cycles, and part of how these things, sort of fall is that people migrate and move on to other things. Yeah, Michael Keller says ICQ. I remember ICQ. I remember Trillion. You ever heard of Trillion? It was like this one program that took all of your instant messengers, whether it was ICQ, MSN, Yahoo, AOL, whatever, and it put it all in one space, and you could like use it to talk to. That way you could be logged into multiple messengers at once and then talk to everybody. Yeah, people are saying Trillion was awesome. Yeah, so, but who the hell? No, it's gone. Nobody needs it anymore. Yeah, net zero, right? So there's lots of these things that they come and go, right? So I think, and usually what causes them to go is some people start making bad choices within the company, or strange choices, or whatever, or someone else comes along, competitor, they have a better idea, and the way that it's a better idea is it offers everything that the other one has and more, and much more, that is far more convenient, or with a much more sort of, easier interface or whatever, and that usually changes the game. Now, of course, YouTube was kind of a big deal because it was like so easy to use, and it came at a good time where people suddenly had cameras on their phones that they carried with them, and microphones, and the equipment was really easy to get to, and anyone could use it. However, I think that, when you see the kind of practices going on YouTube, somebody's going to come up with something new, but the need has to be shown before someone takes the initiative to try to fill that need. Vid.me wasn't thinking about that need. I think that their business model was, let's just do what YouTube does, and then maybe we'll make fun of them or whatever. Because I remember them making an ad that was sort of like poking fun at YouTube. I think Vid.me was advertising on YouTube for it. I could be wrong. Or maybe it was on Twitter. I might be getting my wires crossed, because I know Gab did that with Twitter. They made Twitter the butt of their jokes so that people can go to gab.ai, which obviously it's Twitter, but it offers more. But you have to use it, and you have to get other people to use it too, and that's really what it comes down to. So a video aggregator would be amazing, Hoki Bukisa says. What would you mean, like a Trillion, but for YouTube-esque videos? That would be pretty amazing if someone made something like that. But anybody else have any comments on this whole vid.me thing? Before I'm going to throw something out to the audience before I move on to the next story. No? Okay. I'll take that as a no. So, those of you guys who are watching, what do you think would be a good replacement for YouTube? Vid.me is gone. So we are looking at Dailymotion, Vimeo, BitChute. What about for streaming? Do you think Twitch is going to be the way to go? Do you think that Twitch is going to be a little bit hard to work with? Could they go the way of YouTube in terms of like curating their content, or maybe pushing some people towards the top or towards the foreground and pushing other people to the background, or whatever?
Well, Twitch isn't going anywhere anytime soon. What was it? I read a statistic a couple of years ago where it says like 10% of internet traffic on late nights on the weekends or something is Twitch streaming.
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that.
I think it's like YouTube is first and then Twitch is second in terms of how much people watch.
Right.
So Mr. BC Walker says Twitch for streaming, BitChute for videos. So why is BitChute so great? Leave me a comment. I want to know, because maybe we should go there. I know a lot of other people are going there. I'd like to know what you think. Just write it as a comment. Comment on this whole deal. If you guys, especially if you're really into this whole, internet video interfacing, because the thing is, I don't watch TV anymore. Like, YouTube is basically my TV now. I've been watching YouTube videos for a while, and I watch very little television. And I think it's because the content is not only is it more interesting for me, because it's just the way I, the kind of stuff I want to see is usually there. But it's only a matter of time before the stuff that TV does do well, or cable, or streaming services like Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and so on, their high quality content that people really like could eventually, if not pretty quickly, will be reproduced, or it'll just migrate over to just mainstream streaming sites like YouTube or BitTorrent, or not BitTorrent, I'm sorry, nobody's supposed to know about that, BitChute or Dailymotion or whatever. So just what do you think the future is going to hold, and what are your thoughts on all of these things that I just said? Please leave a comment. I'd be really interested to what you guys think. Moving on to the next story. Okay, Obama. Do you remember him? Okay, Obama says that men seem to be having problems, calls for more women in power. Former President Barack Obama was in France this past weekend, speaking to a network of communication professionals called Les Napoleons. While answering some questions from the group about leadership qualities that will be important in the future, Obama said that more women should be in power because men seem to be having problems these days. This is his quote. Not to generalize, but women seem to have a better capacity than men do, partly because of their socialization. End quote. Obama's comments were made in reference to many well-known men who are facing sexual misconduct allegations. So, of course, he's speaking in part on what has recently happened with senators such as Al Franken, John Conyers, Ruben Kihuen, I think. These are all alleged in the case what I'm talking about. So, but yeah, that's what we're looking at. Any thoughts, anybody?
I think I'm starting to understand why he didn't get anything done in the 8 years he was in fucking office. Yeah. Well, I'm wow. Like, I sorry.
Keep in mind, he was in France at the time.
Yes. Yes. He's preaching to the choir, postmodernism, far leftism. It's a lot of that is originated from France. Now, that's not a dig against France. I love the French. J'adore beaucoup de gens qui habitent en France. I speak French. I love the language. But yeah, it's just, you honestly think that, when it comes to tribalism and, just predatory behavior, that is completely exclusive to the male gender. You don't think that women can be equally as vile? I mean, obviously, we've seen that in your one of your friends in the Democratic Party, Obama. I believe she lost the last election because of a lot of her bullshits.
Well, remember, Hillary was only Obama's friend in the last 4 years of his presidency, but not when she was running against him 4 years before that. She's actually the one that started a lot of the rumors about him when they were running against each other. So, but whatever. We all know we all know that's how the game is played. Anyway.
Men seem to be having a lot of problems these days,
Yeah,
as if
so
women
men-
don't have problems.
Well, he's talking about, but again, he's speaking, he says men are having a lot of problems because what he's saying is because men recently, especially in the political sphere, have been accused of sexual misconduct. This means that men everywhere are having problems, and maybe we should be looking at women because apparently women are not being accused of sexual misconduct. Therefore, they're probably better. Hence, he says they are better because of their socialization. Now, wait, are you saying that women are socialized to be better? Can you do that? Also, isn't that sexist? I thought that we were trying to socialize them out of being out of gender roles so that they could be better. So if we are socializing them and they're currently better, are we currently socializing them out of gender roles? In which case, do we no longer need to do that? Or, I don't know. My eyes are going cross. I don't know what's going on.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed. Who was? I can't remember who brought this study up. I think it might have been Christina Hoff Sommers, where there was some university that piled a whole bunch of men into one room and a whole bunch of women into the other room, and they had to work together to try and solve a particular problem or something. I can't remember what it was. It just it was heavily revolved around teamwork. And in pretty much every single circumstance, it was always the guys that were able to get the job done. They were able to allocate their roles a whole lot more quickly, whereas women were sort of arguing over what was the best way to approach the issue before they actually did anything. Maybe that explains why. Well, there's I know, look, obviously not all women. There are a lot of great female leaders in a lot of different respects, but when it comes to just talking about averages, maybe that's the reason why there's not a whole lot of women, and maybe one of the reasons why Obama, if he believes this is actually true, why, like I said, why he was barely able to get anything done while he was in office for the past 8 years.
Yeah. Hannah.
All he's doing is virtue signaling. He doesn't. I don't consider this to be evidence that Obama holds a genuine opinion on this. He's discovered that that's the direction the wind blows, and he can stay relevant by talking about it and saying shit like that, and that's it. There's no rational or irrational thought behind it other than, how can I get myself back in the news again? Oh, I'll say this. This is what all the other social justice types are saying.
Yeah.
Vomit talking points all over the microphone. Woohoo!
I'll bash men and praise women. Oh, look, I got into the news. MSN front page. Bam.
This is it. This is how anyone that's like the talking heads of the social justice movement remain relevant. They just stand up or sit in a chair. I guess he was sitting down. He said this one, but they go, in front of an audience, or they go on television, or they go on the radio or whatever, and barf talking points all over their microphone and get cookies for it. Woohoo! I barf talking points. Give me cookies! Yay! I am so awesome.
And he's getting them from his wife.
Yeah, that's no, I don't know about that, but I don't think she gives a shit. She does exactly the same thing. She does nothing but barf talking points and try to take food away from children. So. Yeah. I sent a kid through school during the time period, the heyday of Mrs. Obama's school lunch program. We did a lot of packing, and so that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, no, there's no relevance to this. This is just an old former president trying to stay in the news. That's all.
But it does kind of let's give me one thing to think about for those of you guys who might be watching. If you're thinking about going into politics and you want to rise into the ranks quickly, recognize that you don't actually have to know what you're doing in terms of actual litigation and policy to rise quickly. All you need to do is praise women and pander to them as much as possible while bashing men somewhat, or at least you can bash men enough that most men will agree and say, yeah, I know guys like that. Not me, but I know guys like that. And you will... I'm serious. You will see a boost in your numbers right away. You don't even have to, this is on the left or the right. Just praise women enough, kiss their ass, and then when it comes to men, like give them a little bit of a ribbing, like make them feel a little bit like it's like what do the pickup artists call it when they kind of bash on a woman a little bit, like neg them, like neg the guys a little bit, and you watch your numbers go up. You'll just be a senator in like a couple of years. I'm telling you. Just do that.
Make sure you're never seen alone with a woman who isn't your wife.
Yes.
And then they won't call you a misogynist.
Wait. That's a thing? Negging?
Yeah, that's a thing. The PUAs do. Yeah.
Does that work in reverse? Like all those years when women were making fun of me, they are actually into me?
There you go. It wasn't invented by PUAs. They just swiped something that women do to each other all the time.
I'm thinking like the term negging might be something that I don't know. They use it. I don't know if they came up with it, but but yeah, it's like give them a little bit of shit, So that's basically it. So that's how you become a politician. That's all you got to do. It's about kissing the ass of people that might vote for you. And or at least you'll make the news, because this non-story basically got into the front page of MSN News and under politics. Meanwhile, there's really important shit going on.
You call MSN News.
Yeah. You're right. I did. I also tell fibs from time to time. All right, moving on to the last story. I'm going to give this one a Max because this is his. So,
yes,
Mr. Darrett?
That is me.
Michael Keller, it's negging, not nagging. Negging. Like a negative attention.
Oh, naggers.
I would say that women kind of invented both.
Yeah.
Naggers. Yes. Okay.
I think when women do it, it's called gaslighting, isn't it?
Oh.
I don't know.
When women do it to other women?
No. That's actually when women neg other women. That's called socializing.
That's true. That's when isn't it when women do that to other women and they mean it? Don't they actually compliment them, but their tone says "I hate it"? Like Oh
yeah, no. It's things like they make looking good in a particular outfit sound like a crime, or sound like something that you're only able to do because there's something wrong with your body, or something looks good on you because you're able to pull off that trick, whereas they just don't have what it takes to make something that awful look that good, and of course it's cleverly worded to make it sound like a compliment, and then when they walk away you're like, hey, wait a minute. Yeah.
That is the fuggliest skirt I've ever seen. By the way, I'm sorry that
you make it look so good, though.
Yeah. It's usually more subtle than that.
I don't normally wear stripes, but you did all right with that.
Yeah, and it's usually very it's intentionally mean, but it only works if your ego can be affected by other people's opinions of how you look. And it really, I've learned over the years that it really puts you in the doghouse with other women if they do that and it doesn't crush you.
Yes.
Like, you're unaffected by it. You're unaffected by the flames that just came out of my body. I just roasted you. Why are you unscathed? Because I don't give a fuck what you think of how I look or whether my outfit is cool or not, And of course, immediately you are some sort of a bizarre alien that doesn't understand how human beings work, and there's something terrible about you, and you're dangerous and scary and must be taken down at all costs. It really puts a good-sized target on your back. But as far as negging is concerned, no, women do that to each other as just part of social banter. And there's two types of women that do it. There's women who do it to be mean, and there's women who have figured out that women do it to be mean, that as a group, they'll do it to each other bluntly and blatantly to make fun of doing it to be mean. And it's stuff that's like, you say something that's obviously not true. Call somebody who's perfectly thin, a fat ass or something like that. And that's actually functional. It's humor. It's diffuses things and is actually kind of cool. And I'll fall more into that category. I'll tolerate that pretty well, actually. But when it comes to the niggers, that the idea that they get offended that PUAs do it is just hilarious to me because they started it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I were in a woman's position and that were happening to me, I would just, start breaking into Bootylicious by Destiny's Child. I don't think they're ready for this jelly. My body too bootylicious.
Oh, before I give you the floor, Max, I better read some of these super chats that we've been getting. Joey Jojo gave us $5 and saw on Twitter, someone wrote a parody of Side to Side by Ariana Grande, but about Rich Evans and a Tums festival. I don't know what that is, but I'll look into it.
Here's a good example of negging. Oh yeah, I totally listened to Ariana. She's great.
Yeah. French Honey Badger gave us $2 and says the S are silent in Les Napoleons. Did you see what I did there? I pronounced the S anyway. Self-Sealing Stem Bolt gave us €5 and says, what the fucks? And then writes some shit in fucking Moonspeak, which I'm not going to read. And he says, we are pretty much better than you in feminism now. How sexy are we for you now, eh? And then there's a big mouth happy face. And then French Honey Badger gave us $2, and I think he's responding to Self-Sealing Stem Bolt and writes, France, better on feminism? Smiley face. And then Self-Sealing Stem... I'm actually reading the conversation they're having with each other, but they gave us money while they have it. This is so good being a Honey Badger. Okay. Self-Stealing Stem Bolt gives €2 and says, I've an hard on with French feminism, hun.
Hey man, I understand. Like, my weakness is French women. Even if they were feminists, it'd be hard to keep me away from them.
Yeah, well, there's a migrant joke there, but I'm not going to give it. I'm not going to tell it. So we'll go on to the last story, and I am going to give the floor to Mr. Max so that we can talk about Wolfenstein. You know what? I didn't think I was going to have to talk about this, but here we are, talking about difficulty on a fucking gaming website. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. On a website that people used to think was a gaming website back in 2012. Okay, go ahead, Max.
All right. On y va, as the French would say. The newly released video game, Wolfenstein 2, has an interesting take on the game difficulty setting menu, where you are given 7 difficulty settings with humorous names. The hardest difficulty setting is Mein Leben, which is an inside joke from the Wolfenstein series and translates to My Life in English. The easiest difficulty setting is titled, Can I Play Daddy? If you highlight this difficulty setting, a picture of the main character named BJ, no, I'm not kidding, that's his real name,
we know
is displayed with him sporting a bonnet and a pacifier in his mouth, as you can see on the screen right now. Naturally, the reason why we're talking about this story here on Honey Badger Radio is because somebody got offended at that little jab. Now, I'll give you one goddamn guess as to what type of person had a problem with this joke. Anybody want to give it a shot?
Someone who used to work at Gawker. Now works at Kotaku, which used to be Gawker.
That is correct.
Someone who doesn't like it when you bash pedophiles? Is that what's going on?
We are taught, yes, video game journalists do fall under that, Mike, I think, from time to time.
One of those anti-skeptics?
Yes. Although I'm not sure that this guy, Ethan Gack, falls under that, though. He might. Who knows? I'm not saying he does.
Well, it's a broad umbrella, Max. It's really broad.
Yes,
I'm sure there's room.
Ethan Gack for Kotaku.com wrote an article titled, It Might Be Time to Rethink Difficulty Menus. And for 17 paragraphs, this video game journalist, quote unquote, complained that playing on the normal difficulty setting made him feel, quote, miserable. Here's a quote from the article. Sticking a bonnet on BJ and infantilizing the player by analogy isn't exactly an invitation to explore playing Wolfenstein 2 differently. Even just calling one difficulty setting normal implies the others are deviant. When you're fighting to liberate the country from people who believe in eugenics in a game that celebrates difference and diversity, moralizing the difficulty around the struggle, easy equals lazy bad, hard equals virtuous good, feels archaic. Now, you would think that a game like Wolfenstein 2, a game that gives you the ability to massacre Nazis, would be the type of cathartic release that a leftist Kotaku employee would need in this day and age, and that it would make them so happy they wouldn't find ways to complain. But don't forget, nothing is too trivial to be a problem to a social justice warrior, kids. Now look, if you fancy yourself a gamer, you just like playing games, and you like playing on the easiest difficulty setting, more power to you. Honestly, that's what the extra difficulties are there for. It's in order to attract the widest possible audience. And when you have an easy difficulty setting and there are people that don't play games and are maybe looking to get into it, that's why it's there, right? However, if you're going to review games for a living, you need to have enough skill and knowledge of various genres of games in order to do a proper job. Knowledge of how well the difficulty settings play is key in order to recommend whether people buy certain games or not. That is what an entertainment journalist is supposed to do. And that's not an opinion. It's the same for any type of entertainment medium, right?
Yeah. So, okay. So his problem is because the on the new game difficulty setting, the lowest difficulty, Can I Play Daddy, shows BJ in a bonnet and pacifier. The problem is that image, right? Which is kind of weird. I'm surprised that he wrote for 7 paragraphs and he didn't find a way to make that about an ism, some kind of an ism. I wonder if they're coming up with the ism that this represents. He says it's infantilizing, but I wonder if they haven't come up with the ism that that they could use to sort of sling like a because you need a buzzword to just throw at people like a brick.
Ableism.
Ageism.
Could be
Ageism,
yeah.
surely. Extreme ageism.
ageism or infantilism. I thought ageism is when you treat older people differently because they're old. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just differently aged people. Differently aged persons. What
Differently people.
The temporally the temporally challenged, people who like exist in the future or something. I don't know. But so I just gotta so the quote says, just calling one difficulty setting normal implies others are deviant. What is wrong with you? Normal does not mean that everything else is. What is with these people and their obsession with? They don't like the word normal. I notice that they actually hate that word because they think it means that anything that when you say something is normal, then you're establishing a hierarchy, and everything that exists outside of the normal range is somehow like fucked up, less than, inferior. It's always that. Like when you make that statement. For example, well, pretty much anything. Like they bring it up when it comes to the gender discussion, right? So if you say, well, this person is trans and this person is normal, well, they think, oh my God, this person, you're saying that this person is normal, therefore this person who is trans is somehow just some kind of abomination, just some kind of anathema, just insane. I can't even conceive of it when I look at it. It's like, no, it's just we have an idea of where the large range of people tend to fall. And when it comes to gamers, we have an idea of where the large range of gamers tend to fall in terms of how challenging they like their material. And the fact this game even offers you difficulty levels should be something you should be happy for. Because didn't they, I think maybe it was for Cuphead, but it may have been for something else. Oh, Dark Souls, I know that they talked about that. That's a game that you cannot change the difficulty level of. You just play it as it is. And of course they said they shouldn't make it to where you can play this game easier. This shouldn't be this way. And I think Cuphead might have been another one. And now this game has it, they don't like the way they did it. Even though most gamers, and I mean like even normies that play this, would probably not find this image offensive, they might find it funny because maybe that's what the intention was to be humorous. Like, you're a baby, you're not ready for Wolfenstein yet. I mean, that's what I take from it. And they did this before, by the way. This isn't new, this like pacifier thing. The last one, the New Order, I think, because I have that game, it did the same thing. It had the pacifier for the lowest difficulty. The same shit.
It's there because it's supposed to invigorate your testosterone. You don't want to be like that guy in the picture. You want to be as badass as you can. And when you're trying to overcome like unbelievable difficulty, once you actually do that, you get a great feeling of accomplishment.
Wait,
and like you,
Wait, so you're saying that this is enforcing toxic masculinity? That's what it's doing.
Oh, no fucking shit. It's not like there's a whole bunch of Nazis getting gunned down with all weapons, butter flying all over the place. I mean, if that's toxic masculinity, then bring on the toxic masculinity, because that sounds awesome.
Yeah, but today's Nazi fighters don't. They're not like that. They don't use. They're not about. They're anti-gun and they drink soy products. So
yeah, and they punch really random people in the face. That's
what they should do. The lowest difficulty BJ Blazkowicz should be drinking like a soy chai latte instead of a pacifier, and he should have like a man bun and maybe like like a waxed mustache and some glasses. Then we would know, maybe like a flannel shirt. Then we would know what difficulty it was. Or they could just use a photo of the guy who wrote this fucking article.
Exactly, because he looks just like that. They all look the same. Yeah, look, it's as Brian just said. The reason why it's called normal is because there's a certain type of people that gravitate to certain types of games. People who play first-person shooters are likely to have played first-person shooters in the past. So whenever you put out a particular type of game, you got to take the difficulty setting and sort of, based on how people have responded to past games in the genre, you cater the difficulty around to what is sort of the baseline that makes it as easy for people to play. Because normal is obviously what people are most likely going to gravitate to, unless you're like a newbie and you go to easy, or if you just like playing on easy. I mean, like you're in a smaller group of people that play video games, but that's cool. That's no problem with that. But like I said, when you're a video games journalist, being able to review a game at different types of difficulty is a core essential element of the job, right? And like sometimes, the reason why a game doesn't have a difficulty setting, or it does have a difficulty setting, it's based on how the artist wants to present their particular project. Like, for example, a game like Limbo or Inside, those games don't have difficulty settings because the game is crafted in a way that anybody should be able to pick it up and play it, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas other games, they are given difficulty settings because that's the way that they want to present their product. A game like Dark Souls, the whole appeal to that game is the fact that it's challenging. It's not supposed to be inclusive. Same with Cuphead. Wolfenstein is created for a greater audience because first-person shooters are really popular and people like to gun stuff down, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we have this incredible thing called the free market, where there's all these options and you can like buy the thing that you like the most and play that. Like you can just you could just play if you don't want games that have combat in them because you don't like that they can be challenging, then just go get Journey or fucking one of those games that's more like an interactive piece of art and just play that. And you never die.
Journey's great.
Or anything that's got, well, actually, yeah, I do like Journey, even though it's not challenging, but I enjoy it for the experience. Or Flower or whatever. Or you can get one of those games that's more like it's essentially just a narrative and you just make choices, like a choose your own adventure or whatever. Just play those if that's your thing. Play Life is Strange. But leave the people who want to make these kinds of games, leave them alone. One other thing, I just got a super chat from a couple that I want. Ryan Field, he gave us $5 and he says, the pacifier has been a part of the Wolfenstein game since Wolfenstein 3D. I always chose the next one up from that because at the time I was 6. Also, French Honey Badger says they've been doing it since Wolfenstein 3D. I didn't know that, or I hadn't noticed it. And then self-sealing Stembolt gave us €2 and said, Emmanuel 3D, Wolfenstein, I don't know. And that actually brings up an interesting thing that I'd like to ask you guys. If you're in France or Germany or any part of Europe, is Wolfenstein available in those countries? Because there's a lot of Nazi stuff in it, and I don't know. So go ahead.
In Germany, I believe, just in Germany, I might be wrong, but definitely in Germany, it's heavily censored. Like even when Hitler appears on the screen, he doesn't even have the goddamn mustache, and the Nazi swastikas are changed.
Yeah, they should. They should just change it to something completely different. Just make it so. Basically, the swastikas aren't swastikas, obviously, and they should just make them lizard people or I don't know, like Maori.
Animals on Noah's Ark.
Animals on Noah's Ark.
Oh yeah. Oh, Mike, I'm so glad you brought that up. He knows, there's an inside joke to that. Wolfenstein the 3D, the really old one where it was sort of looked like Doom. It was like one of the first person shooters ever. There was a Bible game that was released on the NES, I believe it was, called Super Noah's Ark 3D, and it was just a ripoff of Wolfenstein 3D, but instead of a gun shooting Nazis, you're Noah with a slingshot and apples shooting goats. I swear to God, look it up.
That's crazy. Did they die?
Yeah.
Wait.
No, you fed them with the apples, and then they fell asleep as soon as you
Oh,
fed
yeah,
them
that's right. They got knocked out, yeah.
There you have it, folks.
There you
Apples, the ultimate knockout drug. I guess it depends on how rapidly you approach them.
Somebody needs to make that a mod for this Wolfenstein game on PC. I'm just saying, it's gotta have the apple slingshot Moses. No, it wasn't Moses. It was Noah. I don't know why I thought of Moses just now. Mod. Yeah, that would be pretty epic. Then that's the lowest difficulty. Just say it's just apples and goats, man. You won't be triggered by any crazy imagery. You should be able to get through it just fine. So that was an interesting bit of trivia. Thanks for that. Joey Jojo gave us $5 and says, I remember Ninja Gaiden had Ninja Dog difficulty. Ayane insulted you for using it and gave you a pink scarf. You also had to die 5 times to unlock. Yeah, they do that. There's a little bit of this shaming thing that goes on in some games, but I don't mind it. I think it's funny. For example, I think it was Metal Gear Solid 5. If you like struggle and die more than I think twice or something on a mission, they offer you the chicken hat. You know, with the chicken hat Max. And then so you can go through it without being spotted, but you just got this ridiculous chicken hat on your head, and it goes bagok every time somebody sees you, and it cancels out the thing. So, but why not? I mean, you know, it's a video game, guys. I know it's crazy. It's not that important.
Yeah, like I said, multiple difficulties are fine, but when you're a video games journalist, shut the fuck up. Let me have your job if you don't like it.
Must have been a slow news day, to be honest, because this is pretty dumb. But I thought it would be worth looking at. Also, if they wanted, there was something I was expanding on, that whole, like, let's make this guy look like a hipster douchebag on the lowest difficulty instead. What they could do is, to make sure it's really easy, they give him a weapon that is essentially just accusations of racism, sexism, fascism, homophobia, Islamophobia, you know what I'm saying? Transphobia, whatever. And then you get to use it, and every time you accuse someone of that, like a whole bunch of, you know, media people show up, and Antifa, you know, people and whatever. They basically do all your fighting for you. They take out the enemy for you. They make them look bad in the news. They write hit pieces on each one, and they basically try to, you know, beat them with sticks and set their cars on fire and businesses and stuff. The downside is that you lose everything at the end. Like, you don't really get an ending because you just brought communism into the Wolfenstein game. And...
That's the sequel.
Yeah, and you only get about halfway through because everybody runs out of resources and you end up in the gulag. But you get to experience some of it. So, and that's usually a good thing when you have the lower difficulty games that don't let you finish. They let you go to a certain extent and then they cut you off. So that's how you would do it. That's what I would do. Just make it the lowest difficulty. All right.
And Jordan Peterson plays the head commander in Wolfenstein 3.
Yeah, it's cyber Jordan Peterson, like in the robot suit with his head on top. That's perfect. And when you hit him with all your insults, it doesn't work because he says he's not saying your words.
Yeah.
You're low in agreeableness.
And the title of the final mission is the Gulag Archipelago.
All right. So anyway, that is the last story. I'm going to get ready to take us out. Oh, unless somebody else has any final thoughts on any of the stuff that we brought up.
Go buy Wolfenstein 2. Apparently it's good.
Yeah, I heard it was good. I like the first one, so I don't have a problem.
And if you get the inclination to want to hurt Nazis, do so virtually, because unfortunately, you know, as much as we might want to in real life, it doesn't pan out exactly the way that you think it does.
There you go. Also, Time Magazine, just a really quick one. They put out their short list of candidates for the 2017 Person of the Year. This is the Time Magazine one, which I guess is more important than any other ones. So here's some of the people who made the list, and I know that some of the people I would put didn't make it, and it would piss me off. But okay, Jeff Bezos. I don't know who he is. Oh, Amazon CEO. So, the Dreamers. No. Patty
That's
Jenkins.
not a person.
It's not a person. No. Patty Jenkins, the woman who directed the Wonder Woman movie. All you got to do is direct a movie while being female, and if it does okay, then you get to be Person of the Year. That's the bar is so low for women, I tell you. Because okay, Kim Jong Un, a little bit more important than Patty Jenkins. I'm just saying, Little Rocket Man could be Person of the Year. Time magazine. I'm serious. Colin Kaepernick. You don't even have to be a great football player. You could just be a bench warmer that complains a lot. The Me Too movement. What? the hashtag Me Too movement? Person of the Year? There's no way they're doing that. But there it is. Time magazine. Robert Mueller. Oh, go ahead, Mike. Was that you?
Max.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, if you're going to nominate somebody in respect to Me Too, why don't you nominate, like, one broke the initial Harvey Weinstein story? That'd make more sense.
Rose McGowan? Or was
no,
it
not,
wasn't her. No, it wasn't her.
It was a journalist, I think.
Yeah. I don't remember. It all got so fucking out of control so quickly. Robert Mueller, who is he was appointed following FBI Director James Comey's firing. He has brought charges against 4 people so far as he investigates the potential involvement of the Trump campaign in Russian efforts to influence the 2016 presidential election. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Yes.
Wow.
The Prince of Saudi Arabia. Donald Trump. I mean,
why?
He's a person. Okay, Xi Jinping was the president of China. And I think that's the list. So there we go. There's a couple of people that sound all right. I don't know. I wouldn't have put any of these people. I would put somebody from the internet, but I don't know who yet. There's a couple of people that I like. But if you got to choose who could be Person of the Year, if you worked at Time Magazine and had the power, who would you put up there? I mean, somebody said Trump gave us memes. He did. He did give us many memes. Maybe Pepe should be Person of the Year 2017. Maybe that's who it should go to. Maybe Person of the Year 2017 should be well, maybe it could be Jordan Peterson. I don't know.
Well, what exactly is their criteria for Person of the Year? I mean, is it just that you have to have had a full year of greatness, or do you have to have done one great thing, or what is it?
Well, Hannah, the Me Too hashtag is one of the things they're looking at for Person of the Year. So you don't even have to be a person, basically.
In that case, why are the 2 men that stopped the shooting in Texas not on that list?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hell of a thing. These guys confronted an armed and armored military-trained shooter with a rifle that had the capacity to fire rapidly, and all they had were their own guns. They didn't have any armor. They just had their own guns and their guts.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that would put them in the running, but I suppose Time Magazine doesn't consider heroism like that to be important in our society.
Well, they do if it's fantasy heroism starring a woman directed by a woman.
I suppose.
If it didn't actually happen, yeah.
Hey, man, I kind of give Patty Jenkins just a credit than that, because if the DCEU would have been tanked.
Oh no, Patty!
Back in.
I will tell you, Max. Wonder Woman is looking like the only movie that was okay or better.
Yeah.
Like it was the only one like that. Like I didn't see Justice League yet, but I saw all the other ones, and Wonder Woman is by far the only good one. I didn't like the other movies at all.
Yeah, it's certainly the most universally praised when it comes to critic and fan response.
Yeah.
But in respect to how Time Magazine does this, I think what they're trying to do is nominate people who have had such a huge impact on the cultural consciousness of the United States or the West in general. And when you think about things that have sort of captivated people's minds, obviously a lot of that stuff, for better or for worse, links back to people like Colin Kaepernick and the Me Too stuff, and the issues about illegal immigration and Donald Trump.
So it's a cult of personality award, really.
Exactly.
Not an award for greatness.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, Colin Kaepernick is on the list. He's not even good at the thing he's supposed to be good at.
That's why maybe he has gotten so good at protesting.
Well, yeah.
It gets him attention.
Yeah, I mean, activist types tend not to be good at other things. But, yeah, who would you guys... I'm looking at what people have said. In the comment section, people have recommended Mike should have been Person of the Year.
What the fuck? What about me?
Votes for Dr. Randomer Cam. You got to put more music that you made yourself on your channel, and I think you'll rise up pretty quickly.
Okay.
Also, maybe get drunk more often or something, or make people think that you're probably drunk even if you aren't.
I'm drunk right now.
I nominate the Codger for Person of the Year.
The Codger, yes, that's right. Watts-a-lot says Honey Badger is Person of the Year. Well, we don't give a fuck. And someone said Xi Jinping because his name sounds like pronouns.
That's racist.
What? Busty Sword Ice Bunny Woman Person of the Year. I don't know who that is, but that sounds like somebody I should get to know. Person of the Year, Cassie J. Well, you know what? That's a really good one. I gotta give it to Cassie J. She put us on the map. That's a big one.
I like end of the line Joel's suggestion of the inanimate carbon rod being the Person of the Year. That's a Simpsons reference to those of you who don't know. Inanimate, huh? I'll show him inanimate.
Karen of the Year. Well, there's only one. We only have one Karen. All right. Well, with that said, I will leave you guys to think about Persons of the Year. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and close the show out and get into the after show. I want to thank Max, Mike, and Hannah for coming on with me. And I want to thank you guys for joining us. And looks like JoJo has finally, run out of energy over here. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay.
Is he asleep?
Yeah.
Is that how he fell asleep?
Yeah.
Holy shit, this dog is weird. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So we're going to go into the after show. I want to thank you guys for joining us on today's HBR News, and we will talk to you guys.